On this slide, we are bringing together Drucker's framework of opportunity sources and the feasibility dimensions. All right, you can refer this from Frederick textbook, chapter 11. So Drucker taught us that opportunities often come from 7 sources. Yeah, that is on unexpected event, right? Incongruities, process needs, industry changes, demographic, perception techniques, and new knowledge, right? But here there is a challenge, right? Because not every spark turn into a viable venture. So this is where Frederick built on Drucker's model, yeah, by stressing the importance of systematic evaluation through feasibility study, right? So take a look. They highlight 5 key dimensions here to assess before launching a new venture. So you have to think about technicality, market, financial, organizational, and also competitive. So when you combine these two frameworks, sources of opportunity and feasibility assessment, so entrepreneur here now they are not just recognizing opportunities but also systematically evaluating them to reduce risk. Now, maybe perhaps we can take a look here. There are several also opportunity analysis framework. Yeah, people often use market research, customer validation, feasibility analysis, yeah, and also competitive assessment. Perhaps we can take a look, interestingly, right, how all of these aspects can bring about an interesting assignment, yeah, where entrepreneurs start to emphasize, yeah, the use of this opportunity um, analysis, yeah, framework, so that they can now communicate whatever knowledge that you see they have been working on, yeah, into all those area, because the feasibility analysis cover an interesting thing that talk about the technicality, yeah, feasibility analysis, market, financial analysis of organizational capabilities, and also competitive analysis, right? So the key point of this is actually entrepreneurship is not just about ideas, it's about discipline evaluation. Yeah, because if you apply this feasibility dimension, yeah, you not only recognize opportunity but also communicate their potential clearly to investors and also the stakeholder. Now that we have covered a framework for evaluating opportunity, let's look at some essential analysis tool that entrepreneur can use. So these are 3 is actually key tools highlighted here. First is on SWOT analysis, right? Which is stand for strengths, weaknesses, opportunity, and threats. Yeah, and you can see it helps you to assess both internal and also external challenges, right? And then market segmentation analysis. This is about breaking down the market into group of customers with similar needs or behavior, and also trend analysis. Yeah, this involves studying broader patterns such as demographic shift, consumer behavior, and even technology adoption. Right. So perhaps from there, you see, let us build another perspective to look on the, um, you see, this essential analysis tool that maybe can bring about us to apply the feasibility criteria, yeah, in terms of filtering viable venture, right? So you see, entrepreneur must assess their internal resources through several dimensions like financial, marketing, organizational and technical, and also human, and then evaluate whether each is a strength or weaknesses. Yeah. So from there, maybe you can see this grid, right? This grid on the slide here, you see, allows entrepreneur to classify each resource as a strong, strength, slight strength, or neutral, or slight weaknesses and strong weaknesses. So you have to map this, and by mapping this, founders can clearly see where they are ready to grow or where they need to improve maybe before they scale up. So the key lesson here, it's not enough to know your idea. You must know your resources. Yeah. So you have to apply knowledge of tools like these, where it does not just improve evaluation but also helps entrepreneur communicate all those strengths and weaknesses clearly to investors and partners. Right now, let us maybe turn on to one of the most critical or most practical tools for entrepreneurs, is the risk analysis metric. So here, the metric helps entrepreneurs to evaluate and prioritize potential risks by looking at two factors. That is the probability of a risk occurring and also the impact, right, that it would have on the venture. So by combining this, entrepreneur can categorize risk and decide how to respond. Here, take a look how it works. Yeah. So low probability times low impact. So this is where risks are simply monitored, right? So you can take a look here. This is where you see when we say you simply monitor, you won't derail the business, but you still keep it in view. So an example is a minor market fluctuation, right? So high impact with low probability, so you start to mitigate. Yeah, so this risk does not happen often but can be very damaging. So you have to do mitigation. Yeah, for instance, like a financial crisis may be unlikely, but if it hits, yeah, it can cripple a business. Yeah. The third one is on high probability times low impact. So these are frequent risks but not catastrophic. Yeah, because the best response is to prepare. So for example, technical glitches in an app may not destroy the business, but they happen often enough to require preventive system. And finally, high probability and high impact. Yeah, so this is where you start to be careful, because this is a danger zone, right? This is where the risks require entrepreneur to act immediately, and a strong competitor might enter the market with better resources, for instance, and that can drastically change your business landscape. Now, the real value of this tool is actually give you a systematic way to recognize, yeah, and also categorize priority risk. So whether it's a market, financial, or technical, or even competitor, yeah, instead of treating risk equally, you know exactly which to monitor, prepare for, mitigate, and to act on immediately, right? So here, take a look. You have also to build, whatever we have discussed before, yeah, in terms of the risk analysis metric. Let us consider the most common pitfall that perhaps entrepreneur might face. So according to Frederick in 2007, the two biggest risks are under capitalization and also poor timing. Yeah, so here maybe you see you have to be careful, because if you undercapitalize, you may not have enough financial resources to sustain. Yeah, and if poor timing, maybe the launching of product at the wrong moment. So you see, being too early sometimes can mean customers are not ready, but being too late also means competitor may also dominate. Yeah, so you have to be like weighing all this and take a look. Yeah, what can you anticipate, categorize, and manage strategically? Now let's turn to the development strategies. So these are approaches where entrepreneurs use to grow and sustain their ventures, right? So on this slide, we can see three major approaches. Let us first take a look on lean startup. Yeah, so the lean startup is actually introduced by Eric Rice in 2011. So he focuses on building a minimum viable product, or we call it as MVP. Yeah, so it tests the product with customers and use their feedback to refine the product. So instead of spending years developing something in isolation, you see, entrepreneurs now can experiment product quickly, you see, fail fast and adjust. So this is actually emphasized a lot on the importance of opportunity assessment. and also a rapid feasibility testing. So secondly, we have partnership and alliances where you can collaborate with other businesses and institutions or other stakeholders to share your resources and also reduce risk. And finally, a scalable business model. You see, here is all about designing operations that grow revenues faster than costs. Yeah, like technology. Yeah, if you can do replication, standardization, and that help you to adapt to the new strategies. Now, on this slide, we can see how lean startup, yeah, a partnership and scalable business model work together to create sustainable venture growth. Yeah. So maybe let's break it down. You see, lean startup, right? Is about experimentation through minimum viable product or MVP. So and you have to iterate. So entrepreneur test quickly, gather feedback and refine. Partnership and alliances. You see here they support externally, whether through network, whether through collaboration with larger firms, and alliances help entrepreneur to access resources. Yeah, and scalable business model will help businesses to grow and increase the revenue faster than costs. So all this is actually being integrated. Yeah, they achieve sustainable venture growth. Yeah, a state where a business is adaptable, right? Business now is able to be capable in terms of spending without exhausting resources. Now that we have looked at how opportunities are identified, the next step is to nurture opportunities. Yeah, so this is the process of developing and sustaining entrepreneurial ideas until they become viable ventures. So the slide shows us four key elements here. First is on continuous learning, right? So you have to stay updated on industry trend, on customer needs, right? And emerging technologies. So this ongoing learning will help you to adapt ideas to a changing environment. Next is on networking. Because as entrepreneur, success is not alone. Yeah. So no entrepreneur succeed alone. You have to build strong relationship with mentor, investors, and also collaborators, and even customers because you need to get their support. And resource optimization here, time, money, and effort. You see, these are all limited, and successful entrepreneur know how to allocate these resources wisely across different opportunities. And finally, time excellence. Yeah, because you see, the best idea can sometimes fail because sometimes it may launch at the wrong time. So you see, time excellence is about entering the market when demand are there, it is rising, and also conditions are favorable. Now you see, uh, here opportunity does not grow on their own, right? So they must be nurtured with knowledge, network, yeah, discipline, and strategic timing. Perhaps we can have an interesting understanding. Let us take a look on this slide. We are comparing interesting things that guide entrepreneur decision making, and the causation logic is all about where the more traditional approach is using because it is goal oriented. Entrepreneur begins with a clear objective and then predict the future through planning. Yeah, so they are interesting, activity here where you can start with what you know. So who you are and whom you know, right? So this is where the bird in hand comes into the picture. And affordable losses focus on risk, right? Take a look what you can control, yeah, not at the expected returns. And crazy quilt, this is where there are a practical activity, yeah, where you can form partnerships with stakeholders, yeah, to shape opportunities. And Laminate is all about trying to embrace surprises and turn them into advantages. Yeah, so that you can bring opportunity up front. And finally, pilot in the plane. So you see, as a pilot, you have to control, right? So here, when we talk about the control, it's all about controlling the future through actions rather than predicting it. Now, let's talk about what makes entrepreneur truly successful in recognizing opportunities. Yeah, because here the key point on this line is that success depends on staying alert, yeah, acting decisively, and also adapting continuously. So I'm going to skip this because we have discussed about building towards the effectuation theory. Yeah, but let us maybe take a look on the cognitive alertness. Yeah, when we talk about successful uh, stories on entrepreneurs who already recognize opportunity. And you see, when we talk about cognitive, this is where entrepreneurs is able to notice and interpret weak signal in the environment. So things like unmet customer needs, yeah, market gaps or emerging trend. So you see, all these signals will help entrepreneurs to spot them early, and that highlighted awareness and also give entrepreneur a competitive advantage. Yeah, for example, today you notice the shift to cashless payment, yeah, because it became mainstream, allowed certain startup to move quickly. Yeah. Secondly, on adaptability. So adaptability talks about more on opportunity, and you have recognized it. But you see, recognizing opportunity is not just enough, yeah, because condition change. So entrepreneur must adjust their thinking and strategies as new information emerges. So this means you have to pivot. Yeah. So pivoting when necessary, refining your ideas and align with market demands. Yeah. So when we combine the cognitive alertness with adaptability, entrepreneurs are not only able to see opportunities earlier, but they can also respond um, them effectively and turn them into sustainable ventures. Yeah. So this is where you see, interestingly, we have to maybe take a look. Yeah. Perhaps with one interesting um, conclusion, right? Opportunity recognition is actually both discovery and also construction. Yeah. When we say discovery and construction, let us maybe take a look at our local example like Touch and Go e-wallet, right? So you see, uh, this Touch and Go e-wallet, which recognize the growing fintech demand and digital payment gap in Malaysia early on. So construction, on the other hand, is about creating opportunities, yeah, through actions and adaptation. For example, like FarmFresh, you see, they reshape the distribution model during COVID-19 by going direct to consumer. So that helped to turn the crisis into growth. So you see, the key takeaway here is actually entrepreneur must not only find opportunities, but also build and nurture them, yeah, into sustainable ventures, right? So we have concluded our session today, class. Yeah, we have discussed about opportunity and how you recognize them, and the entrepreneur mindset. Yeah, and also we have identified internal and external sources and discuss opportunity through feasibility and risk analysis. And there are some strategies for venture growth and development. And finally, we also have synthesized, an interesting entrepreneurial theories into something that is actionable. And the key message here is opportunity does not just appear, right? They must be recognized, shaped, and strategically nurtured. Now, if you have any questions during our lecture or tutorial session, yeah, please do not hesitate to consult me. Thank you very much.